Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 1077. This is Rollin Frost, Kona astrologer, trying to eke out a living on the Kona coast of the Big Island. And we're going into a strange month. Let's see, first of all, where are you at? You're still in the full moon on Pluto. So you're having a little panic attacks and more deep information, disturbing stuff comes out about Pluto, about poisons and volcanoes. And it's a panicky month that started with that full moon July 9th, right on Pluto. It ends on August 7th, by the way, and then you will be coming out of that panicky feeling. But what's maybe more important is that there's a new moon on July 23rd. That new moon is at 1 degree Leo and squares Uranus. Uranus, of course, has to do with tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, things that come along suddenly and knock out your electricity and make you feel alone. Yes. Now that new moon squaring Uranus says we're going to all have Uranus worries. I just turned on all my equipment and I couldn't get a picture. And finally, doggone, it's the little digital cord. And I pull it out a ways and plug it in and twist it, and on comes the video. So I expect a lot more problems like that. Dead batteries, more stuff. Now that all starts on that new moon, and maybe a couple days before the new moon. Probably around where you're at right now. If you're watching the Thursday or the Friday show. So we've got an overlap here of Pluto stuff, which I call eek, a bug. And it overlaps for 2 weeks with the new moon squaring Uranus, when Uranus stops the first few days in August and just roars with high winds and interruptions. And so the stage is set for a 2-week period of real difficulties. Hurricanes, we're going to see some of that in Hawaii, and quakes, and a lot of unusual things are going on. So that's the executive summary. So the overlap period starts where you're at. Yeah, on the new moon, July 23rd, and goes for 2 weeks while you're still in the panicky thing. Got the idea? Okay. Let's take a look at it day by day. Give you a little heads up on the personal side of the whole thing. You'll notice I've drawn Uranus really large because it stations August 3rd, and when it stations, oh boy, it just floods your consciousness. Uranus has a good side, of course. This is Aquarius. This is brotherhood. I always joke a little bit and say, you know what happens when you have earthquakes and hurricanes and Uranus comes along and takes away your power? Well, you're going to go out and find new friends. You're going to meet your neighbors. Everybody's got a freezer full of meat. They got to go and barbecue it all, and they just give it away to the neighbors. So I've seen neighborhood parties and people helping each other. So this strange planet, Uranus, when it stops, might shake you and wake you up. But it produces a lot of brotherhood. You'll understand in Lak'ech, Mayan greeting, I am another you, when Uranus stops. So there's an enlightenment form here. It's very, I like Taoism of the Buddhist traditions. But this is also, stuff like Scientology and and astrology is the base science, the higher mental science. So as Uranus slows down and stops August 3rd, there's like 20 days going up and 20 days coming down. And the closer you are up to the up place, the more likely you will get some Aquarian enlightenment, and maybe some little hurricanes and tornadoes and shakings and earthquakes. Remember, it's there for your brotherhood. Okay, I've got the planetary pattern. Venus is trining Jupiter. There's some love around. But she's also opposing Pluto. Or no, quincux to Pluto, opposing Saturn. Excuse me. So that opposition happens for you in several days. Kind of cools off the pleasures and love and sex. You know, they don't work. It seems like everybody's too old for it. He says, what am I now? I'm 76, son of a gun. I must apologize for my voice. I don't think it's because I'm getting old. It's because I got 2 vacation rentals adjacent to my home, and they hire these dumb companies that come around to maintain them, and they just spray them to kill everything. Then they use leaf blowers, and so I'm breathing Roundup, and it affects my voice and my lungs. And I shouldn't burden you with my problems there. That's a Neptune problem by and large. Of course, leaf blowers are Uranus. Things that go bzzz, around and around, motors, electrical things. You're going to get more and more of that in your head as you go along. So, still got Jupiter and Neptune on a seesaw. And, how about the doctors and the drug companies and Monsanto and Dow Chemical and, my God, I used to work at Dow. I couldn't believe it. And Jupiter, the rich people and the lawyers. Who's going to win the battle? How much is your aspirin going to cost? You know, every little aspirin pill costs, about 1.50 cents to produce. Yes, they are ripping you off. Well, let's get into this day by day. We're going to run the moon around this pattern. One thing that's noticeable is the sun is there with Mars. And the sun's going to go into Leo day after tomorrow for you, which is a fixed fire sign. And there is Mars at 0 to 7. So all next week for you, Mars is with the sun. So it's going to get hot. And people get hot under the collar. And men especially, young guys, it pumps the testosterone. You'll see you have extra energy. Don't use it in anger. Ask yourself what you're protecting and get out there and do something to lessen your problems. Yes. By the way, here's a hint. I watched Tulsi Gabbard the other day. All right, I listened to her. They're talking about shelter in place. Turns out there's no shelters in Hawaii anywhere when hurricanes come. So what do? Well, we learned in Vietnam is take a 50-gallon drum, 55-gallon drum, and just bury it out in your yard. Get one with a lid. And 2 people can get in there and hold the lid down, put a little handle on the inside. And anything goes over there. They use these for bombs. They had them all over Vietnamese cities, instead of where the parking places were along the sidewalks. People would just jump into them. So if you've got a shaky house and nowhere to go, dig a hole and put a drum in it. Drums are cheap. You can go down at H&A or something and get stainless steel drums for nothing. They want to get rid of them. They use them for ink. Now the other thing is your bathtub. If you don't want to go to the trouble and your house is fairly strong, and by the way, don't worry about the big plate glass windows, stronger than your walls. They don't break easy. But the bathtub, just go climb in the bathtub and put a mattress over you, and you are really in a safe spot. Unless the hurricane or the tornado hits you, wham, it takes the whole place. Usually there's still a bathtub there if it's hardwired. If it's plastic and it doesn't look secure to you, well, this is a very cheap alternative. because this Uranus season, this matter of hurricanes in Hawaii, it's just going to go on and on and on. Global warming is real. Hotter it gets, the hotter the ocean gets, the more hurricanes we're going to see. And it's going to get really a lot more hurricanes. So, you know, in the Midwest, they're used to tornadoes, so they all have storm cellars in their basements, you know. Yeah. Remember Over the Rainbow? Anyway, they go out and get in a storm cellar. We don't have them in Hawaii. There's your personal storm cellar. Not just for this year. Every year there's going to be more and more of these. So, okay, let's run the moon around the edge. I've done my environmental safety and health lecture for this show. And trying to get ahead of it a little bit. But, you know, this new moon you're having, it squares Uranus, means you're really concerned about it. And that starts Saturday night, Sunday morning. Let's see, if you're on the Friday show, if you're in a Thursday show, the moon's in Gemini, you're in the Venus zone Thursday morning. Relax, be loving and sexy. Friday, moon goes into Cancer. Different situation. There's a very nice trine to Neptune. You know, and Neptune, I got Neptune stuff I want to talk about. But here it is, Friday night. If you're watching the Friday night show, I'm going to wake you up a little bit about Neptune. Saturday morning, here's the opposition to Pluto, square to Jupiter. Eek, a bug. You notice I've got it lined out. You're going to feel this even Friday night. You know, so it's panicky. And it's not a time to go out and mess around with bugs or sharps or pots or anything dangerous. Sense of panic will be normal. Here's the square to Uranus, Saturday night. So it starts with panicky Saturday morning, goes to a sense of aloneness. I need more batteries, Saturday night, Sunday morning. It's good you got Mars on your sun. You can get out there and get things fixed and be prepared. Yeah, that's what you do this week. Now, the moon's in Leo Sunday, where that new moon is too. Time you get to Sunday night, here's a nice sextile to Jupiter. There's some wisdom, some laughing. Not bad for a party. Monday is even better. Here's a sextile to Venus, trine to Saturn. Everybody's settled and feels relaxed, feels secure. Got enough sugar to get through the next hurricane. The moon's in Leo all day Monday. On Tuesday, it shifted into Virgo, and you're in the Mercury zone. Well, I guess that's clear back here. A lot of good talk and conversation Monday night. So Tuesday's not bad. And when you get to Tuesday night, though, here's the opposition to Neptune. Problems with water and flooding. And, you know, they say I should save water if there's a hurricane coming. You know, fill your bathtub with water and then get in it, and then you're going to drink the water for the next week. Well, make sure you're clean and your tub's clean. On Wednesday, here's a trine to Pluto. You could get some good advice on, you know, this kind of stuff. Even though you're all confused Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, do as little as possible and watch out for the liquids. Got control Wednesday morning, it feels like it. But here's the Venus-Saturn opposition Wednesday night. Starts with Saturn. Limitations, time and money. I don't have time for love and sex and sweets. It's the way it is Wednesday night. Don't push it. Thursday, the moon moves into Libra. Feels a lot better. Here Thursday in the morning and right up through lunchtime, there's a nice sextile to the Sun and Mars. Get stuff done. Get out there. Do it. Be a hero. That's what Thursday's about with the moon in Leo. Overdo it a little bit on Friday. The moon in Leo, or in Libra, goes by Jupiter between breakfast and lunch. And you could don't bite off more than you can chew here. That's what Jupiter's about. Because here's the square to Pluto, and it's panicky in the middle of Friday and Friday afternoon. So here's the eek a bug period. You know, if you bite off more you can chew, you'll choke. A lot of people will. Friday, look out. Saturday, here's the square to, the opposition to Uranus. The wind kicked up. This could be a very difficult period. We could be looking at some hurricanes and high winds and a lot of stuff here, folks. Saturday, July 29th. I mean, August 3rd, Uranus station's up here, so when this moon opposes Uranus Saturday morning, you could be dealing with some chaos, problems with your electrical and cable and telephone lines. So, when you've got good energy back here, Thursday morning, get prepared. Hide from water, or run from water, hide from wind. So this is a wind event here, even though there's lots of water. So you want to hide from wind. Nice thing about hurricanes is the wind comes up slow and you get lots of time. You know, should I get in the hole or should I get in the bathtub? Anyway, Saturday is chaotic. In the afternoon, the moon shifts into Scorpio, and you feel a little frustrated here. Saturday night, Sunday morning. There's a lot of road rage around, the moon squaring the sun and Mars. What happened to all the heat? Maybe it's too hot, and that's the reason that you had troubles with electricity. Everybody turned on the air conditioner, power plant overloads, and bang, you got no electricity, and it's too hot. This is a deadly combination here. Saturday, Sunday. There's going to be some road rage, and there's going to be some injuries, and there's going to be a problem with electrical and motors and batteries. And you get through Sunday afternoon, it starts to mellow out. There's a trine to Neptune. In the evening, you know, about midnight or so, there's a sextile to Pluto. You feel back in control July 30th, at least for a little bit. Okay, I want to get back to Mr. Trump and what it's like to have a chart reading, except in his case, it's not normal. Before I get there, I got some Neptune stuff to talk about. This just came out yesterday, day before yesterday, maybe. But, you know, what's weird is, this is a big deal, that the chief of EPA, who's, shouldn't be the chief of EPA, met with the Dow Chemical CEO before deciding not to ban toxic pesticides. I spent my life in environmental health and safety, OSHA, health department, corporations. I specialized in complex chemical stuff, carcinogens, derivatives from oil, hydrocarbons and things. And I was in on it when OSHA started. I helped write some of the laws. And in the beginning, OSHA was had to take care of pesticide people. Those guys that spray those two houses adjacent to me, they have no idea what they're doing. They have no training. They have no protective equipment. I've watched one guy go along, spray all along the house. Then a young guy came along right behind him on his heels with a leaf blower and blew all the little droplets up into the air so they could both breathe it. Craziness. Reminded me of back when OSHA started in the early 70s. And I went out on a call. Organophosphates came in. Organophosphates were a new class of pesticide. Thing is, they absorb through the skin. Really a different hazard. So OSHA was in charge of these guys in pesticide companies, and I went out on a call. And there was an older guy and a younger guy in a truck full of an organophosphate pesticide. And they had to wear these suits, full suits, that didn't let anything in. These white reflective suits with hoods and stuff. And then they were dragging a hose behind him that, with the pesticide in it, goes back to the truck, and dragging the hose around. A big hose. It was like inch and a quarter, hard rubber. 100 feet of that you're dragging around. They sweat like crazy. It was very hard to deal with in Hawaii. And so you'd see them take off the hood or this or that. I saw them spray all over their shoes, and boots, and then they take off their protective coveralls and went home with all that shit on the boots, on their shoes, to walk around in the rug and let their babies get it. It was a crazy thing. It was so crazy all over that OSHA decided they couldn't deal with it. And nobody wanted to regulate pesticide applications. And besides OSHA, only will help you if you got 10 employees or more. If you don't have 10 employees, OSHA can't touch you. So a lot of the pesticide spraying outfits immediately went down to little groups, little family businesses of less than 10. That's what I see over here in these vacation rentals. Absentee landlords just pay the check. Guy comes along, does the cheapest job, rips off the health of his employees, big time. Anyway, that was a great relief when OSHA offed the pesticide. I didn't have to go out on those calls anymore. Okay, why am I telling you this? Well, what just happened was I worked for Dow Chemical early on in oil recovery. And I was an innocent kind of like, it really was. I didn't know what the hell's going on. But here's the head of Dow Chemical meeting with the EPA chief about a new pesticide that Dow is getting out there. And you know what it's called? It's called the chloropyrifos. Now, pyrephrins come from marigolds, and it's a pretty good organic pesticide. Plant marigolds around your garden and bugs won't come and eat it. So the chemical companies went after this, pyrephrins, and started making pyrethrins and a little different, because it was synthetic. They find a way to make this really cheap. And I had to train OSHA inspectors about nasty smelling liquids in cans. You can't read the label. I taught them how to smell chlorinated stuff and just look for any chloro on the label. The reason the chlorinated stuff, the chlorine molecules there, is to tie the toxic poisons together and they won't come apart. Chlorine, fluorine, it's there. When you get a chloro pesticide, chloridane is in all the waters on Oahu. Yeah, when under the ground, down to all your water, you can't eat the fish, full of chloridane. Well, here's a new one. Now, the guys that make this at Dow are by and large, like I was, innocent. I don't know. But I was taught in the safety business, if you're going to make a mistake, make it in a safe direction. And this guy, Scott Pruitt, who's now the head of EPA, is clearly not a safety dude. He's a sneaky Neptune devil. This pesticide has been tested, and the guys at EPA and those people that studied it said to Scott Pruitt, don't do that. He did it anyway. He allowed it to go out. Turns out minuscule amounts interfere with brain development of fetuses and infants. Yeah, another brain attacker. Another generation of kids in real trouble. And who did this? It wasn't necessarily the chemist at Dow Chemical. I mean, they'll pay you a lot of money to sit around in a lab. That was me in a research lab. Here, take this molecule first. In our case, it was a soluble plastic. And we found a way to use it to fire retardant and thicken water in oil fields. Find some, we can make this cheap. So, who do you blame? This is the guy. It's government. Now, we found out the other day that EPA failed completely on Roundup. Yeah, they failed. There were tests, there were mouse tests, rat tests, covered up about it being carcinogenic. And the people at Monsanto fought it tooth and nail through the courts and all things. And the fight went on for a while. Guys at EPA, quote, gave up. And now we got Roundup all over the world. Now here's the head of EPA, Scott Pruitt. He just okayed One of the nastiest pesticides I've seen in a long time. And he said, oh yeah, go on out there. Now this is for food crops. Yeah, it's like the Myrex on Oahu. Oh, we can kill ants on the pineapple with this, and next thing you know, it was in all the fish. All the fish down in Pearl Harbor. Mother's milk. Okay, 2 instances just came out about EPA is a terrible bunch of people who messed up over Roundup and allowed it to get through, and now they've done it again over chlorpyrifos. Hey, we should disband this company. This EPA isn't working. It's not working, folks. It's not protecting our environment at all. In fact, just the opposite. It's destroying it with nasty pesticides. Okay, I did some natal chart work on Donald, and then I did some progressions, and now I'm working on transiting planets, the final thing I do in everybody's chart, and all I'm getting is alarm bells. Yeah, because an eclipse is a transit, and bang, the eclipse happens right on his rising sign. August 21st. Ag. That's terrible. Well, we already found out that Saturn slowed down and stops. Yes, August 24th, right on his moon. That knocks the hell out of your health. Eclipse on the rising, bad health. Next, I found that Mars hits the eclipse point. There's going to be some hot places here. For everybody, but for Mr. Trump especially, September 3rd. And Mercury goes stationary direct September 5th on the eclipse point, which means our communication transportation is a mess. This isn't just for Mr. Trump, this is for all of us. When Mercury hits an eclipse, you know, he's going to stop. And here's Mars hitting it. There's fires and fights and anger and war trips. Oh boy. And transiting Saturn stops August 24th. So the last week of August, first few days in September. Whoa, look out. Now I'm just guessing, mind you, but doing this work on Trump and a lot of this other stuff, scary. It's not like that when I do your chart. I'm going to go after Jupiter and find out where the goodies are. You're not going to be scared at all. You're going to be happy when you get your own chart reading.